Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. It's time to do some picks for the Week 5 NFL. Been doing these every week, and just to go over so far, my season record is 41, 22, and 1. So, not super amazing picking 66 when you're just doing a pick 'em. Not the greatest, but on the other side, I'm 42 and 22 when I'm doing a picking against the spread. I might do some little bit of mentions against the spread in this video, but if you want to see my picks for that, I do release them on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter below. Every week I do that Sunday morning. So there is that as well. Guys, it's MLB playoff season. I did some videos on that. I've been doing MLB all season. Games going on right now. I think it's something exciting as well. And hockey season got underway. So if you are into all sorts of different sports, not just the NFL, I do video content across all three of those sports all year long. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and smash that like button on these videos so I know that people are liking it and we're going to keep doing it. Just pretty much a pretty simple video that I do every week when it comes to the pick'em style of things. Just go through all the games, excluding the Thursday game because that already happened. I did have a Denver picked in that one, so I was a little bit wrong. I was leaning Indy for so long, I just couldn't pull the trigger on that one. So I did have a losing pick there. But other than that, we go through the rest of the games of the week. I just do a live, zero edit, just quick. So any comments, drop them below. Put your picks below. I'd love to see what you guys are thinking out there on the pick'em scene. But pretty much that. I'll try to do a little bit on each game, but don't get too carried away. Like this first game, there isn't going to be too much to talk about, honestly. It's Giants at Green Bay, and they're across the pond in England. So London, England, I guess. So not a whole lot going there. The spread in this game is pretty massive. I think Green Bay is 10 or 8.5 point favorites. I think it might be 9 now. I don't think there's much to say. Giants might be the worst 3-1 team of all time, whereas Green Bay is definitely on their way to the playoffs and leading the division with the Vikings right on their tail, of course. I don't think there's a whole lot to say. I think the Packers are a much better team, and they should walk away with this, and I'm actually probably going to pick them to cover the spread too. So it might be super early for me to get that pick out tomorrow morning. So a little tidbit here on the spread side of things with Green Bay because they are playing at 6 a.m. my time on the West Coast here. Next game up, we got Tampa Bay hosting the Falcons, and it's another one of those, there's a lot of games this week that have pretty big spreads, touchdown favorites or more, and this is another one of those situations. Division game, Brady not having the best of week, but they kept it. They lost last week against the Chiefs. I think they might be 2-2 now on the season. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head, but this is a really big bounce back spot. They, for the most part, have had the Falcons' number since Brady showed up. Bucks gonna have most of their weapons back. Godwin seems to be back. Their defense should be able to handle Falcons' offense, who's been a surprise. Falcons might be one of the bigger surprises of the season so far, but I don't see this being that spot. And I'm gonna be picking the Bucks. I'll probably end up picking them to cover just a little. Not again. I'm gonna maybe mention some things. We're just gonna keep going. Vikings versus Bears, another one of those situations. Again, touchdown, 7.5 point favorites. Not a whole lot to say here. The Vikings coming off a pretty big win actually over on London. They are traveling back home, so there might be a little bit of fatigue there. But I do personally think that the Bears might be the worst team in the NFL right now. Justin Fields, he got nothing. He doesn't got a whole lot of support, and the Bears at this rate, we could be seeing them last place, looking at a quarterback coming up this next season. Next one is going to be, this is kind of the first game where I might be going a little bit off the board here. You got the Patriots at home against the Lions. The Lions still dealing with quite a few injuries. I don't know if St. Brown is going to be back or Swift. At this point, I'm kind of considering them out. But I still think the Patriots, even though they're 1-3, they're still always a team that you don't want to sleep on. But I'm going with the Lions in this one. I think the Lions are underdogs at this point. But I don't know. Having Hoyer under center is a little bit scary for me. The Patriots are really in that situation where they don't have a whole lot going for them, and they're very likely going to be last place in this division at this rate. So I do think these teams are both 1-3. You could go either way. Patriots, again, they are, I think, over a field goal. They might just be a field goal favorite now at this point when I'm taking a look at there. Trying to do a quick look, and I can't seem to find it yet. Yeah, just a 3-point favorite. really pretty close. So I'm just going to go off the board there. But the next one, Jacksonville is pretty much the slam dunk. Again, we're getting back to the 7.5-point favorites. Jacksonville, I think, is probably one of those teams that people are starting to come around on a little bit. I think at the beginning of the season, you could have made a little bit of money if you had picked them a couple of times. They can only go get better than they were the past couple of years, right? The same story can be said with the Texans, but I do like some of the pieces the Jaguars have a little bit better. They got Lawrence at quarterback, probably give them the edge over Mills there. They got some wide receiver talent when they brought in Kirk this offseason. They have Braden Cooks on the other side. I guess those kind of cancel each other out. But then they got the defense. Jacksonville's defense has been pretty solid. Again, Texans' defense also been somewhat solid, but I'm just going to give the edge at home. Jacksonville has been pretty legendary, at least over the past couple of years, especially in division game. 7.5-point favorites. I will put a note here, too. Jacksonville is my survivor pick this week. A little bit of a sweat in that situation. I'm not super confident in it, but I think another spot you can pick, we'll get to in a little bit, but this is one of the best spots of the week, in my opinion. Next up, Cleveland Browns hosting the LA Chargers, still stuck in San Diego, still stuck. This one's close. Like, I know a lot of the little intricacies and stuff are going to be telling you to go Chargers here. And I think overall the public might like the Chargers a little bit more. It's hard to get. The Browns have just had such a consistency of not getting it done. I know the Chargers are 1.5-point favorites now. So it's basically a pick'em game, and that's what it's going to come down to. I like Garrett. Myles Garrett is coming back this week after that car accident. He's gonna wreak some havoc. And Herbert, I think if Herbert takes a big hit, I don't think he's still recovered from those ribs yet completely. And I think this game is going to be super close, and the Browns need to win. The Chargers, I guess, of course, both teams need to win. This is honestly, it feels like a playoff game, but like not a playoff game. Like both these teams, one of these teams, I think at the end of the day, is going to make the playoffs. Long term, they might be like the border team fighting for the playoff down the stretch. So this could be the pivotal game for them. Just like the Browns. I don't know what it is specifically, but my gut's telling me the Browns a little bit here. Next up, Jets hosting the Dolphins. Dolphins having a little bit of an extra break here. Of course, off the field, all the Tua talk. But let's be honest. Dolphins probably have the best quarterback backup in the entire league, Teddy Bridgewater. Of course, both times he's come in this season. He's come in when the Tua took that little clock both games. He's not looked super good, but I think now with an extra few days, 10 days basically of prep to get ready for a division team, Teddy Bridgewater, we're going to see the right side of Teddy Bridgewater this week. He's going to finally have some time. And let's be honest, Teddy's never had wide receivers like Tyreek Hill that can really just open up. I think one stat that really stood out to me was that his average pass completion just this week with Tyreek Hill is up 4 yards specifically over his career average. Like we all know, Teddy's kind of known for those short, quick passes, etc. But I do like the Dolphins to win this game. They are road favorites. They had the extra week. And I don't think they're losing a whole lot with Teddy Bridgewater coming in. I am one of those guys that is very high on Tua. I do like his accuracy, especially with the wide receiver weapons he's got this year. So it sucks that he lost to that injury. But I think overall, we're not going to see too much of a difference. And with the blitz happy Dolphins going up against Zach Wilson and the Jets, I like what they're going to bring. And they're going to bring tons of pressure. So I do like that overall. Next up, biggest spread of the week. Another... I don't know. What are you going to talk about here? You got Pickett coming in for the Steelers announced to get the start. I think Steelers fans, at least there, have something to be very excited about, right? At the same time, it's a 14.5-point spread. Biggest spread so far this season. We got the Bills, whose offense is just legendary, who's still dealing with some injuries and stuff, but they've seemed to manage to keep it together, and I think they're still going to be favorites, even though they lost to the Dolphins. Definitely with Tua now out. They're probably favorites to walk away with this division. This is another one of those picks if you haven't used the Bills yet, which I don't think a lot of people have used the Bills yet so far this season. They've had a pretty tough schedule so far out of the gate, so you probably haven't used them yet in your Survivor. This is probably a good spot to use them, which is the other team I was considering, but I feel like considering they're matching up with the AFC North, this is probably the best matchup they're going to have with that division. You might be able to look at them to face the Jets later on in the season as well, if you still have them in your pocket. Next up, Saints at the Seahawks. This one's going to be close. I think a lot of people aren't giving the Seahawks enough credit so far this season. They've shown that they deserve at least a little bit of credit. Coming up with that big win last week. They also surprised the world with that Monday night win during week 1. No one knocked a lot of people out of Survivor in that case. But Geno Smith has shown that maybe the Seahawks were onto something by letting Russell Wilson walk. And to be honest, it's starting to look that way. Denver has looked pretty atrocious, and Wilson has not looked great. Whereas the Seahawks on the other side, they're going to have the same record. Even if the Seahawks lose, they're going to have the same record, right? So it's a good spot for the Seahawks. They opened up as a lot bigger underdogs, and the spread has come down a little bit closer. The Saints are coming back, and we expect Andy Dalton to be under center again. They're coming back from London, so there's a little bit of that. Usually I would kind of focus on the Seahawks traveling to New Orleans from the West Coast. That usually can have some sort of impact on the game. But I think with the Saints coming back from London, it's kind of the same situation. They're both going to be making quite a big hop in travel. So pretty much a wash. I think overall, I'm going to give the Saints a little bit benefit of the doubt to win this game. I'm going to kind of rely on how I felt at the beginning of the year with the Seahawks being well near the bottom. I did consider the Saints to be a stronger team potentially in the playoffs. Andy Dalton probably gives them a better chance to win than Winston from what we've seen. And the Seahawks, I think if we're looking at the spread-wise, we might be a lot closer. But in a pick'em style, I'm going with the Saints for sure. Next up, we got Titans on the road against the Washington Commanders. And I've heard this a lot, and it's starting to make a lot of sense, honestly, that this might be the most public-pounded game of the week with the Titans. Titans looked good last week. They beat India. Pretty much a very important matchup for them. I think they go on a bye next week, and then they face Indy again. So in your classic sandwich match where you have a big game, division game, and then you play kind of a team that you're not ready up for, followed by another big division game, they have a bye in between there. And I think in the safe pick'em pool style of ways, you gotta go with Tennessee. I know it's public, and I've heard it, and I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not going to be surprised if the Commanders walk away with this one. But if you're in pools, you got to assume almost everyone's going to be playing the Titans. You don't want to pick the Commanders and be wrong and then just lose that point up. I think this is such a close game. The spread even says how close it's going to be if you know that the Commanders are going to be. But on the other side of things, contrarian-wise, going the Commanders might be the play as well. And a lot of the numbers and stuff say that the Commanders are the play. I'm just going to go with the Titans. I just love the Titans in this spot. I've kind of go with my guy. I liked the Titans last week. I've liked them against the Raiders. I've kind of been riding them lately, and it's been paying off big time. So I'm going to keep consistent with how I think their offense is just so strong and well-versed that they are going to be able to attack Washington. At the same time, they've had very much one of the worst defenses when it comes to against the pass. And Washington has the weapons to at least keep this close. If you remember week 1 when Washington came back against Jacksonville, we could very well see Carson Wentz being one of the best quarterbacks of the week in terms of fantasy-wise. So keep your eye on that. If he's on the waiver wire and you need a quarterback, I would suggest going for that. Next up, Carolina at San Fran. This is, when it comes to Pickem, it's going to be pretty much a slam dunk San Francisco. We saw how they're capable of, especially on defense against the Rams on Monday night. They do have a little bit of a short week. The spread is a little bit bigger. It's come a little bit more in Carolina's favor. Carolina, at the same time, they are playing for their jobs. Baker Mayfield has been atrocious since coming into that Panther uniform, and Darnell is so close to coming back. I think it's pretty much do or die for him. There's a lot of talk going around that for their coach is do or die, so it could be a do or die situation. We could see the best Panthers team we've seen all season, so be ready for that at home. Again, San Francisco traveling cross country. They're going to be playing an afternoon game, which is kind of interesting. You don't see the Carolina Panthers. They're on the East Coast, right? Playing at home afternoon game. A little bit of something to look out for there, especially in the spread. I will definitely be slamming the Carolina Panthers. I think it's 6.5 points there. So I'm going to, at least we could see a very low scoring game here. Both teams scoring below 20 would not surprise me. Next up, Rams, Cowboys. I don't know. Like, it seems like a slam dunk for the Rams, but I know it's not. Watching how Stafford got beat up and the Rams got beat up by that San Francisco defense last week, Dallas Cowboys are more than capable of being much stronger. Micah Parsons just absolutely obliterating, keeps lining up all sorts of different ways. Are the Rams going to be ready? I think they have to be. Like, this has got to be an answer back game for the Rams. Cooper Kupp had the most receptions of his career yesterday or last week. I knew he set a record for receptions. I don't think it was his career in one game. Expect the Rams to really make an answer back. The only thing here is Cooper Rush. The guy's undefeated. Like, he can't keep that up. That's pretty much it in a Pickem style. We're going to go with that. We got the undefeated Eagles coming into town against the Cardinals. I just like the Eagles. They're pretty much their only undefeated team. The Cardinals haven't been like super strong. They've shown times where they've won. Last week was a nice win for them against the Panthers. I just don't know. I can't bet on a team that in a Pick'em style that's been so inconsistent. As we've seen of the Cardinals, they got blown out by Kansas City early. They've had other games where they should win. They've had to come back against the Raiders, and they've had other losses. Like, for the Eagles, they've been the most consistent team in the NFL in winning, right? The only team that have lost, so I'm going to keep riding them. Next up, we're going to get to the Sunday nighter here, and it's the Bengals coming into Baltimore. Just like how the Bengals started off 0-2, and I think after 2 weeks I said no 0-2 team in the new era, which was 2 years of playoffs. The new playoff format had made the playoffs. I think the Bengals are going to be that first team to break that curse, and I do have them as my pick to win this night. I think now that the front line, the offensive line has had some games now to work together. That's been the big story with the offensive line, is that they were all pretty much new. They hadn't really worked together, and that was a big problem. We saw it early against Dallas with all the sacks. We saw it early against Pittsburgh with all those sacks. And now we're starting to see how they managed to hold Miami a little bit last week. And I think with the weapons and the wide receivers and the fact that Baltimore can give up that big play, we're going to see the Bengals win this one. At the very least, I think there's going to be a little bit of an upset. It's an upset because they are underdogs, 3-point dogs on the road Sunday night. Keep tuned. That's going to be a good one. And then that brings us to the last game of the week. We got the Chiefs hosting the Raiders on Monday Night Football. I know I'm going to be out and watching this one with my wife, who's the biggest Chiefs fan out there. Shout out to her. But the Chiefs are going to win this one. They got to keep going. They're going to keep rolling. They're going to take a lead in this division by the horns. They're going to grab it, because I do have the Chargers losing, which would give them an even bigger spread. And with the Broncos already losing, this is a key game for the Chiefs. They can really put a little bit of a cushion in that division. At the same time, division game, Raiders always play the Chiefs tough, and don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if the Raiders win. I definitely won't. Raiders, on paper, pretty good team, offensively, defensively. They can, but I just got to go with the Chiefs. They're the best team, right, in this sense. And there you guys got it. Week 5 picks across the NFL. Again, I'm going to just go over it. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you're new to this channel, I know a lot of you are new. Smash that subscribe button. We do these picks every week on Saturday. I release my spread picks on Twitter Sunday morning. And we have baseball playoffs going on right now and hockey season starting. So lots of videos, lots of content. And we have an amazing community on Discord. So check that out if you're interested. Again, thanks for watching. Peace out.